She is none other than Dr. Caroline Josephine Dawson, a seasoned corporate trainer and communication expert. And she has more than 25 years of experience developing leaders with teams across Singapore and the Asia Pacific region. As director of Caroline Dawson International, she has helped organizations strengthen communication, elevate leadership capability, and build resilient, high-performing team cultures. Dr. Dawson's background as a former teacher, journalist, and her decades of hands-on training work give her a sharp understanding of how people adapt, collaborate, and lead through change. She is known for her practical, engaging style that empowers leaders to navigate challenges with clarity and agility. Today, she will speak on the adaptive leader thriving through digital transformation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Caroline Josephine Dawson. Woo!
Well, thanks, Dr. Maxine. Only you can elevate me to that level. So a very good afternoon, everyone. So thank you, Dr. Maxine Teo. She provided an overview of my profile, and I just provided something additional here as well. But before I begin, I am the last speaker, of this series of webinar ever since that we started, in September. So it's once again an honor to be here. I'd like to, of course, thank Mr. Andrew Chow and his team for taking this initiative. So without further ado, I'll just like to welcome all of y'all and to just share with you a little bit of what I can offer to all my colleagues, professionals at L&D. So this is about the adaptive leader thriving to digital transformation. Now, you and I know we're living in the fastest pace of change we've ever seen, so fast that you don't even realize it. Now, think about it. Can you even remember a very good friend's phone number? Now, chances are you probably have to refer to your phone. So it is so subtle. It's like, you're like a frog in the boiling water. You don't even know that there's a lot of things that is going out there that has affected us, and we don't even accept or even believe that it's happening. Like even our handwriting, even a simple thing like that. Our handwriting has been terribly affected because we just use technology for everything. When we go to a certain place, when was the last time that you actually went from point A to point B without looking at your phone, a street directory, or even a GPS? So that is exactly what is happening, and we don't really know what's going on. Okay, so interestingly, yesterday, I had the privilege of attending an evening event. And one of the questions that was posed was, what was an adaptive leader? What makes that? So this is hot off the press. So I was able to pick up some pointers, and I want to commend, that privilege of actually obtaining such information. So I'd like to commend COL, this is the Community of Learning, Education Services Union. And these were some of the things that people actually shared. An adaptive leader, great answers shared, forward thinking, resilient, agile, and so on and so forth. That we know. We can provide all kinds of textbook answers. Now, the thing is, why do leaders have to change? My former speakers have shared different models, different frameworks. Yes, we have VUCA, but we also have an adapted version of the VUCA model, which is BANI. Okay, and that will be where leaders probably feel that they're not able to manage some of the change, some of the anxiety, uncertainty, and so on. And this is the quiet crisis which a lot of people don't like to talk about. And these are real figures. This is just not some statistics, everyone. These are real people navigating unprecedented workplace transformation. We're talking 63.7%. Latest source, this is from the Ministry of Manpower. They question, they have a job, they are thankful, but they question their relevance despite being employed. So the kind of anxiety, the kind of impact that they're experiencing, I just want to highlight a few things. So if you just have a look at the pointers there, people feel burnt out, stressed, they often feel anxious, and that is already automatic mental resilience, which has already automatically been compromised. So the question to ponder is this. Now, if AI can do the job, we're living in a digital world, we're in Industry 4.0, what can leaders truly, offer to their people. And one of the latest findings that we actually found out is they're actually not scared of learning. Attending workshops is not a big deal. Attending talks, keynote, whatever versions, they're not scared. They're probably just terrified of failing again. And this is just based on the survey trends obtained quite recently. And a lot of people are just very, very concerned. Oh man, I've done this, I've been there, I've done that. Will this work again? Okay, but you see, the thing though is this: leaders, they need to recognize their responsibility in driving such a transformation at their workplace. The future demands that leaders who are adaptive, human-centered, and tech-enabled, that is the way to go. So the solution is this: we need certain tools to help empower leaders. They know that something needs to be accomplished, they need to be done. So what I have is a roadmap, okay? And this is just 4 phases. It's scalable, and this will be able to help leaders thrive through the digital transformation in the age that we're in. And this is just not about just adding more training hours. It's just about future-proofing your leaders so that they can future-proof your business. And that's where your L&D, that's why HR also automatically comes in. Now, typically what will happen is this: leaders will start a 2-day foundation, and then we'll just add future modules just across the year. We want to just give leaders an opportunity to practice, to reflect and build on real capabilities. Now, there are a lot of skills and capabilities that can be accomplished. So we need to scale it across the year, because we also need to find out, hey, are they able to actually apply the techniques? And studies have typically also shared that when people attend a workshop, they can generally just remember about 7 to 10%. And that's considered very good. So we start off with a foundation, okay, an overview about change. I mean, as H.G. Wells said, a classic author, we have to adapt or we will perish. So let's lay out the foundation, the importance of change, especially in these current times. Are we able to drive change with confidence? Can we lead it? Can you also communicate difficult information to your people? And a lot of leaders can't do that, because a lot of people, they tend to just follow what we call groupthink. Now, after a certain period of time, they will progress to the next level. Now, how can they elevate their agility as a leader? Are they able to make their leadership human-centered? So, no, we live in an agile workforce. That's what it's all about. Okay, so are they also able to customize their leadership, build mental wellness? A lot of emotional intelligence concepts will be included. Lots of change management concepts will also include it, because what we need to do is we need to thrive, we need to also foster innovation, and etc. In the later part of the year, then we'll move on. Okay, now how can this be applicable? What about the future of work? Should policies be changed? What are the future trends? And we can't be complacent. So yes, some of my fellow speakers shared about, yes, we obtain independence and so on. I'd like to share something that was recently done with one of my clients quite recently, and they wanted to share about how this can affect workplace transformation. And I shared this. Across millennia, you and I know that Singapore has been known as a port city. And we're just not talking about being a port city since 1965. That's modern independence. We're talking about since, the 18th century and so on. Now, let me tell you, there has never been a port city that has ever survived the test of time. And let me tell you how that can be put to a stop. The government of Thailand just has to obtain enough investors and just develop the Kra Canal. That's between the south of Thailand and the north of Malaysia. And all ships bypass the Straits of Malacca. And let me tell you, that'll be the end of Singapore. So we can't be complacent. And history has already indicated more than enough evidence that that's exactly what happened when the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal were created. So what policies need to be in place so that we are ready for the future? Because Singapore can go bust just like that. And we're just not just talking about a company. We're just talking about the country in itself. So we have to keep evolving. What is this? What can we do? How can we provide value add? And of course, as a leader is one who serves. Okay, so ethics must come into play. Okay, we need to find a way to influence, persuade, and also to be responsible in our dealings with our staff, with our people, whoever that we're interacting with. Now, the impact, it's very simple. We want to gain confidence through uncertainty. And this is for our leaders to see whether they're able to develop such a skill. The impact for teams is for them to be agile, engaged, future ready, so that they can be high performing. The impact is for organization to achieve robustness. Are they able to understand threats? Resilience. Are they able to recover from incidents so that they can move on? And plasticity. Are they also able to learn from their failures? Now, we know these are the new world of leaders. We know about these frameworks. But the reality, my colleagues, is this. This is exactly what is happening, not necessarily to all leaders, to all workers. It doesn't matter whether you're an SME or an MNC. Brittle, they're anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. They're terrified. So why choose me? Why choose my organization, CDI? Well, the fact that what I can offer is smart. It's skills-based, it's mentally challenging, it's active, it's realistic, it's training. I do things in a very smart way. We share practical tools and so on. However, my philosophy whenever I work with my clients is simple. As they say, the mathematical symbol for change is a triangle. So when I do and offer any of my services to any of my clients, I always insist on one thing. There are 3 players on board. I come on board to help support your initiative. We need management support. And the third, we need L&D support. If not, it can never work. This is the only smart way. Now, of course, as they say, a picture and a video says it all. Okay. However, when it comes to return of investment, I think that actually says and tests, the authenticity and the effectiveness of something that I offer. Now, what helps, ladies and gentlemen, because I am the last speaker of this webinar series, I was able to obtain enough information, okay, enough intel for me to share, with my L&D colleagues, ROI. So, you need details, you need facts. And what I was able to obtain is an increase of 25 to 40% when it comes to leadership confidence, based on the 4 phases of the leadership initiative that I have for my clients. There has been an increase of 18 to 32% in team performance. Talent retention, I think that was more significant based on my meetings and my discussions, my dialogues with my clients. Because you see, turnover rate is so high, it is so fluid, and it doesn't make sense for me to start all over again. So talent retention was, for them, one of the most significant impacts in terms of ROI. In terms of digital adoption, 20 to 45%. And so on. So I was able to obtain this, in the last couple of months with my research. So I've got clients who have shared, who have attested, not only from Singapore, but also around the Asia Pacific region. Okay. And these are some of the few selected clients who was able to work with me so that they were able to achieve, whatever goals that they actually had for their establishment as well. So before I leave, just some of my final words for each and every one of you. By Mr. Kishore Mahbubani, which I'm sure all your learned folks are familiar with, a distinguished fellow at the Asia Research Institute, part of NUS. I always remember this acronym MPH. This is something that I've always remembered because this has reminded me of the bookstore that closed down at Stamford Road years ago. When he was interviewed on an international platform, what they believed was the success story of Singapore, Mr. Mahbubani shared that whatever that we do, it has to be based on merit. And that's where meritocracy comes in. Whoever who we work with, the leaders who we choose, it must be based on merit, not because you're my friend, you're my crony, you're a family member. And that's why we're known as such in the Singapore society. Everything that we do must be practical. I like to quote at this juncture a Japanese legend. When you're in a train and you realize that you skip the train station, what should we do? Get off at the next station. Because you see, my friends, if you take too long to get off, that return ticket will be far too expensive. So we have to be practical in our initiative. Lord only knows what will happen, in the next 2, 3 years. I don't know, but we got to keep moving. But what's more important is honesty. That is why we're also known for having a zero tolerance for corruption in this country as well. Our leaders must be honest. They must maintain integrity, authenticity. Now, yes, MPH might have closed down, but it doesn't mean that our leaders have to shut down. So my closing and parting words will be this: the future won't wait, but leaders, they'll be ready for it. So at this juncture, I'd like to thank all of y'all, for being very kind, for hearing some of my offerings. Please do get in touch with me. But what would be faster would be this. Okay, I've got a LinkedIn QR code for all of y'all. If there's anything that I can do to offer any assistance, please do not hesitate to keep in touch with me. Thank you very much.